Look, it is about time you realize Jack is no saint. He's got the same desires as any normal male.
What's that supposed to mean?
He's an animal.
After 8 successful seasons on air, Three's Company, the sitcom that once sent America into a frenzy, came to an abrupt end, leaving millions of fans in shock. A flood of questions followed immediately. Why would such a massively popular show end so suddenly? Few could have imagined that the turning point began the moment Suzanne Summers walked away, right when her fame was at its peak. That single exit marked the beginning of the collapse of one of television's most beloved comedy empires.
He is a great cook.
Plus.
He would be good protection for us around the house.
Plus.
He's very good looking.
Plus.
Premiering on ABC in 1978 and running for 8 seasons until 1904. Three's Company quickly became a television phenomenon and a cultural milestone. Fresh, witty, and daring. It wasn't entirely an original concept. Few know that its roots lay in a British sitcom called Man About the House, which told the story of a man sharing an apartment with 2 women in London. At that time, the premise alone was enough to spark controversy. But it was precisely that boldness that caught the attention of American producers who believed that with the right American touch, it could explode in popularity. However, the road to getting Three's Company on air was far from easy. ABC, one of America's major television networks, initially rejected the script twice, fearing audiences would react negatively to the idea of 3 single people of opposite sexes living together. It wasn't until 1977, after countless rewrites, that the show was finally given the green light for a test run. No one expected that just 6 episodes later, America would be laughing hysterically. The story revolved around 3 roommates. 2 beautiful young women, Janet and Chrissy, played by Joyce DeWitt and Suzanne Summers, and a clumsy, well-meaning man named Jack Tripper, John Ritter. They shared an apartment in Santa Monica where Jack had to pretend to be gay in order to convince their conservative landlords to let them live together. It was a simple premise, borderline absurd, but that very silliness turned out to be magical, creating hours of laughter for millions of viewers. The show blended situational comedy, hilarious misunderstandings, and cheeky sexual innuendos elements that critics often debated, but audiences adored. From 1977 to 1983, Three's Company consistently ranked among America's top 10 TV shows. Its success was so immense that it spawned 2 spin-offs, The Ropers and Three's a Crowd, expanding the universe of beloved characters. But then came the inevitable question. If Three's Company once ruled television, what caused it to end? The answer lies within the very premise that made it a success. A concept that was both bold and dated. 3 young adults sharing an apartment to save money, forced to stage a gender charade to appease their landlords. In today's context, such a storyline would likely be seen as controversial or even tone-deaf. Yet for its time, the show was remarkably progressive. In 1976, when the word gay was still taboo, having a male lead openly pretend to be gay was groundbreaking. At the same time, it exposed the social prejudices of the era, how cohabitation between men and women could still be deemed improper. The show's ability to use humour to challenge such boundaries made it both satirical and deeply reflective of American society at the time. At the heart of it all stood John Ritter, who transformed Jack Tripper into the soul of the series. With his natural charm, kinetic energy, and impeccable comedic timing, Ritter didn't just make audiences laugh, he made them love him. He became the face of a sitcom generation, the clumsy, kind-hearted optimist navigating chaos with a grin. In an instant, Three's Company turned 3 relatively unknown actors into true television superstars. Before becoming a household name, John Ritter had already built a steady career in television. He appeared in The Waltons for several years and guest starred on The Mary Tyler Moore Show and other hit programs. Ritter also headlined The Barefoot Executive, 1971, a film that showcased his distinctive comedic style. While not yet a major star, Ritter had already established himself as a familiar face in American living rooms. In Three's Company. Despite the title emphasizing three roommates, it was Ritter's Jack Tripper who became the true heartbeat of the show. He possessed a rare gift for physical comedy. Every fall, every expression, every awkward gesture was perfectly executed. His natural wit and ability to make people laugh with a glance quickly made him the standout star. The show also dared to flirt with subtle sexual undertones, risky for its time, with Jack often caught at the center of mischievous and risque misunderstandings. But one star could never carry the show alone. Three's Company thrived thanks to its stellar supporting cast, especially Suzanne Summers as Chrissy Snow. She embodied pure joy, innocence, and charm. Chrissy might have been naive, but her sweetness never annoyed audiences. Instead, Summers brought a refreshing energy that made every scene she appeared in sparkle. Her performance transformed Chrissy from a shallow, dumb blonde stereotype into a genuine television icon. Alongside them, Joyce DeWitt's portrayal of Janet Wood provided perfect balance. Janet was practical, grounded, and the emotional anchor of the trio. While Jack caused chaos and Chrissy radiated bubbly energy, Janet represented logic and heart. Together, the three formed a harmonious triangle, a rare chemistry that made every episode shine. The 1970s cultural backdrop was fertile ground for the show's audacity. Three's Company dared to play with taboos, especially the idea of Jack pretending to be gay to live with two women. In that social climate, it was not only hilarious, but also a biting commentary on societal norms. It forced audiences to confront their own biases, even as they doubled over laughing. However, not everyone found it funny. Some critics attacked the show for perpetuating the dumb blonde stereotype through Chrissy, and feminist movements of the era spoke out against how women were portrayed. But audiences disagreed. To them, Chrissy was full of emotion. She could be silly, but she could also love hurt and trust. She wasn't just a punchline, she was someone everyone had met in real life. Another reason Three's Company became legendary was its style, like I Love Lucy or The Honeymooners. It relied on recurring scenarios, but refreshed them with rapid pacing, sharp dialogue, and brilliant reactions. The scenes between Jack and landlord Mr. Roper, filled with hilarious misunderstandings about Jack's orientation, were pure television gold. The contrast between Mr. Roper and his wife Helen created moments that were not only funny, but also bitingly satirical. Even though Ritter's acting was endlessly praised, his fame also brought turbulence. As he became the most talked about name of Three's Company, tensions among the cast began to rise, especially with Suzanne Summers, who always believed she was the show's true star. Before joining Three's Company, Summers had taken on a few minor roles in film and television. Her most notable appearance was as the mysterious blonde who captivated Richard Dreyfuss in George Lucas's American Graffiti 1973. She also appeared in series such as Starsky and Hutch and The Rockford Files. Summers came to Hollywood from humble beginnings, a single mother who had struggled through poverty. Because of that, she set her sights high. She didn't just want to be known, she wanted to become a major star, a symbol. Three's Company seemed to be that chance. In the show, Chrissy Snow was the heart of the laughter, innocent, bright, and irresistibly charming. After just a few episodes, Suzanne Summers skyrocketed into a television phenomenon. She became the sexy yet naive icon of the 1970s, a role so perfect it seemed tailor-made for her. But that same dazzling spotlight also began to suffocate her. A grueling 5-day shooting schedule combined with live tapings in front of hundreds of spectators forced her to maintain constant energy and a cheerful smile, even when she felt like collapsing inside. She didn't perform as many physical comedy stunts as John Ritter, yet she was bound by rigid image requirements. The character of Chrissy Snow, the dumb blonde, was written as a humorous sex symbol. That meant Summers constantly appeared in short skirts and tight tops, often shot from angles meant to highlight her body. More than once, directors asked her to adjust her outfit to make it funnier, which really meant more revealing. Summers later recalled that every taping felt like stepping onto a stage where every part of her smile, her posture, the height of her hemline was under surveillance. The suffocating scrutiny slowly wore her down. "I felt like I wasn't acting anymore. I was just performing my own body," she said in an interview. The mental strain distanced her from her co-stars and crew. While John Ritter shone with his gift for physical comedy, Summers felt trapped inside the stereotype of the sexy, dumb blonde, a role that both made her famous and emotionally wounded her. The greater her success, the heavier the pressure became. When Summers realized her salary was only 1/5 of Ritter's, she began to fight for fairness. While she earned $30,000 per episode, Ritter received $150,000, 5 times more. Feeling the imbalance was unjust, Summers demanded equal pay and a share of the show's profits. An unprecedented request for a woman in television at the time. She believed she deserved it, but ABC and the producers saw it as rebellion. Negotiations quickly turned into a cold war. The tension from the boardroom soon spread to the set. The once central role of Chrissy Snow began to shrink. Instead of sharing lively scenes with her co-stars, Summers was forced to film isolated telephone segments separated from the rest of the cast. Everyone knew this was the first step toward her removal. Then, by the end of the season, the unthinkable happened. Suzanne Summers was officially fired. In her autobiography, she revealed that she was forbidden to speak to her co-stars, as if the entire crew had turned its back on her. It was a suffocating and painful period, especially for someone who had once brought so much joy to the screen, but now found herself drowning in loneliness behind the scenes. The controversy destroyed her reputation overnight. Being fired from Three's Company, Summers later said, was the deepest wound of my life. Her departure shocked fans. The press had a field day with sensational headlines, and the media branded her greedy, disloyal, a troublemaker. The image of America's Golden Girl collapsed instantly. Suzanne's name became synonymous with scandal. She was shunned within the industry and labelled a diva. The relationship between Summers and Joyce DeWitt, who played Janet, also broke down badly. The two didn't speak for over 30 years. It wasn't until a special talk show reunion that they finally sat together, opening up about the pain, misunderstandings, and the difficult childhood Summers had endured with her alcoholic father. That moment closed an old wound, but opened a new understanding. Summers wasn't just a demanding star, she was a woman who dared to stand up for fairness. Before John Ritter passed away in 2003, he called Summers. After more than 2 decades of silence, he softly said, "I forgive you." Summers later said that moment made her cry not just because she was forgiven, but because they finally understood each other. Ritter had even mentioned the idea of working together again, but fate cut those plans short when he died suddenly. After Summers left Three's Company, the atmosphere on set was never the same. Joyce DeWitt later admitted that although everyone gave their all for the show's success, being excluded from major decisions gradually drove them apart. "We wanted the characters to feel more real, more alive," she said. But hardly anyone listened. The producers quickly tried to patch the hole she left behind. They introduced Cindy Snow, Chrissy's cousin, and later Priscilla Barnes as Terry Alden, the practical calm nurse. Both actresses brought their own charm, but fans agreed the original trio's magic could never be recreated. The effortless chemistry, the explosive laughter, and the natural charm among the characters had vanished. The audience still loved the show, but the sense of something missing grew stronger each season. The set was no longer just a place for laughter, it became a pressure cooker of egos and creative conflict. The show's producers were often accused of being overly controlling, frequently dismissing input from the cast. Amid it all, John Ritter. The show's soul became the only glue holding everything together. He brought boundless energy, worked tirelessly to maintain the show's comic rhythm, yet bore tremendous pressure. Tabloids constantly hunted for behind-the-scenes drama, turning even minor misunderstandings into sensational headlines. Ritter and his co-stars couldn't escape the spotlight, trapped in a whirlwind of speculation and gossip. As the seasons went on, the cracks between on-screen and off-screen worlds grew more visible. The plots became less cohesive, the laughter felt more forced, and the chemistry that once made the show so brilliant began to fade. Though Three's Company remained ABC's darling, it was clear the golden glow was flickering. Still, the cast persisted. They kept performing, bringing joy to millions of viewers. After 8 successful seasons, Three's Company finally closed its golden chapter. The original concept, a man living with 2 women in a harmless setup, had become outdated by the mid-1980s. Even its most loyal fans sensed the creative fatigue. The comedy had fulfilled its mission, but the behind-the-scenes story of Three's Company would forever remain a vivid lesson about ambition, fame, and the true price of laughter in the ruthless world of entertainment. Suzanne Somers' departure in 1981 was a seismic shock not only for Three's Company, but for the entire American television industry. Chrissy Snow, the innocent, radiant heart of the show, vanished, leaving a void no one could fill. Meanwhile, shifts in the TV landscape added pressure. In 1983, NBC launched The A-Team, an action comedy hit that stole much of Three's Company's audience. That same year, Laverne and Shirley and the Jeffersons dominated the ratings. Clearly, Three's Company's glory was fading. Even though Ritter won both a Golden Globe and an Emmy, and the show earned a People's Choice Award, those triumphs couldn't stop its decline. Producers tried every possible way to breathe new life into the show, changing the plot, adding new characters, and increasing the romantic elements. But every effort felt forced and lifeless. Viewers who once eagerly awaited each episode for a good laugh now began to wonder whether the magic of Jack, Janet, and Chrissy still existed. In the end, ABC decided to end Three's Company after its 8th season. The final episode aired on September 18, 1984, a farewell but also a bittersweet elegy to a television monument. The finale tried to wrap everything up within 30 minutes. Jack Tripper proposed to his new girlfriend while Janet married Philip Dawson. Everything happened in a rush, as if the show was hurrying to close an 8-year dream. Many fans felt a deep sense of loss, not because of a bad ending, but because they simply weren't ready to say goodbye. However, neither were they ready to let go completely. Seeing the enormous charm and star power of John Ritter, the network decided to create a spin-off Three's a Crowd, with Ritter in the lead role. The final Three's Company episode, titled Friends and Lovers Part 2, was not only the end of a sitcom legend, but also a bridge to the spin-off. In it, the story focused on Jack Tripper and his girlfriend Vicky Bradford. When Vicky suggested they move in together, Jack initially hesitated due to his old-fashioned views. But fearing he might lose her, he finally agreed. What followed were touching farewell moments. Larry and Mr. Furley helped Jack pack and move out of the iconic apartment. Terry left to begin a new chapter in her career, a flight to Hawaii to start her nursing journey. Meanwhile, Janet bid farewell to her friends as she began married life with her new husband. A golden era officially came to an end, making way for new beginnings. Jack and Vicky then moved into their own apartment, the main setting of Three's A Crowd. As they toasted to their future in a romantic moment, preparing to enter their first bedroom together, an unexpected twist struck. Vicky's father, James Bradford, suddenly appeared and announced that he had bought the entire building, including Jack's restaurant, Jack's bistro, and their apartment. This meant he officially became Jack's new landlord. This new storyline laid the foundation for Three's a Crowd, but unfortunately, the spin-off failed to recreate the magic of Three's Company. Although John Ritter remained outstanding and carried the show, he was surrounded by a cast that lacked chemistry. Three's Company had thrived on the perfect balance among its characters, each one a unique piece of the puzzle. But Three's a Crowd ignored that essential formula, bringing back none of the familiar faces, leaving audiences with a sense of detachment. Viewers especially struggled to connect with Vicky. While Mary Caderet wasn't a bad actress, her character simply lacked the charisma to win audiences over. Worse, the constant presence of Vicky's father, James Bradford, irritated fans. Unlike Mr. Roper or Mr. Furley in Three's Company, who appeared occasionally for comic relief, James was ever-present, intrusive and heavy-handed, making the tone of the show drag. After just one season with 22 episodes, ABC made the cold but inevitable decision. Three's a Crowd was cancelled. Though it carried the hope of continuing a legacy, the show quickly became a failure, seen as a faint shadow of its predecessor. A golden age of laughter in American television had officially closed. Yet Three's Company never truly disappeared. Reruns continued for years, retaining their original charm. Each time Jack, Janet and Chrissy's laughter echoed on screen, audiences were reminded of a radiant era of television when simple, graceful comedy could make an entire nation laugh. Though the curtain had fallen, the cast's journeys continued, each forging their own legacy. John Ritter. The heart of the show continued to shine. After Three's Company, he cemented his star status in 8 Simple Rules, where he played a humorous yet heartfelt father. Ritter's ability to connect with audiences remained unmatched. But tragedy struck in 2003 when he passed away at 54 due to an aortic dissection, a shock that left Hollywood in mourning. His legacy lives on through his timeless performances and through his son Jason Ritter, who continues his father's path with the same warmth and sincerity. Suzanne Summers, instead of fading after scandal, reinvented herself as a cultural icon. From her image as Chrissy Snow, she built a personal empire. Summers created the globally famous fitness product Thigh Master and authored best-selling books on health and beauty. She turned fame into a living legacy, proving that sometimes stepping away from the spotlight isn't an end, but the beginning of something even brighter. She also used her fame to advocate for women's health, promote wellness, and inspire self-empowerment. Even decades after the show ended, Summers often appeared in interviews sharing her positive outlook on life. In October 2023, the world fell silent when she passed away just one day before her 77th birthday. Her death marked the close of a glorious journey, but the legacy she left of resilience, reinvention, and fearless living continues to shine. While Summers built her empire, Joyce DeWitt, the actress who played Janet Wood, chose the opposite path, quiet but enduring. After the bright lights of television, she stepped back from Hollywood, dedicating herself to theatre, where she rediscovered her pure passion for acting. Life wasn't always smooth. She faced legal troubles in 2009 for driving under the influence, but she overcame them with remarkable grace and determination. One of the most touching moments came in 2012 when DeWitt and Summers reunited after decades apart. Their conversation, filled with tears and laughter, revealed the deep bond that had survived all misunderstandings. Together, they reminisced about their Three's Company years when they were not just co-stars, but sisters navigating the ruthless world of show business. For Priscilla Barnes, who later joined the cast as Terry Olden, Three's Company became a springboard for a diverse and lasting career. After the show, she went on to appear in films and TV series such as The Devil's Rejects and Jane the Virgin. Barnes openly described her time on Three's Company as bittersweet. She was frustrated by limited creative freedom, but remained grateful for the friendships and the fans' enduring affection. Richard Klein, who played the charming ladies' man Larry Dallas, stayed true to the stage. He delighted Broadway audiences with his role in Waitress and continued engaging with fans, keeping the Larry spirit alive in the hearts of sitcom lovers. His humour, charisma and talent made him a symbol of television's golden age. More than 4 decades later, Three's Company remains a cultural milestone. Witty, clever and bold, the show didn't just make people laugh, it mirrored the shifting dynamics of American society, from gender and friendship to personal freedom. The story of 3 roommates might have seemed simple, but it was in fact a subtle metaphor for changing values and human connection. What makes Three's Company timeless is its unique blend of classic comedy and modern insight. The misunderstandings and awkward situations didn't just provoke laughter. They reflected the real world where gender roles were being redefined. The show paved the way for future hits like Will and Grace and Modern Family, proving that comedy can explore serious themes without losing its charm. Though Three's Company ended long ago, its influence still resonates through pop culture. From its hilarious, chaotic moments to its portrayal of human relationships, the show opened the door for modern sitcoms. Those three roommates didn't just make audiences laugh, they made them feel the warmth, the lovable clumsiness, and the messy beauty of real life. Decades may pass, but Three's Company endures as a timeless symbol of laughter, the kind that lingers in memory and in the heart. And what about you? Have you ever watched Three's Company and laughed at Jack Tripper's antics? Share your thoughts in the comments below. If you love stories about classic television, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you won't miss the next video. Thank you for watching and stay tuned as we continue our journey through television legends.